We're now joined by our reporter that is Hakim Wampamba, who is on ground and is ready to share with us details of this breaking news that we're just getting in. Hakim, thank you so much for joining us. What we see right now are pictures of members of the Uganda police and maybe other agencies, but help us understand why these are at the residence of the former Speaker of the 11th Parliament. Hakim.
All right, Tracy and dear viewer watching NBS always right now, those are pictures that are coming in right from the Speaker's residence, or the former Speaker of Parliament, the Honourable Anita Among, and we had pitched camped here right from the hour of 3 p.m. and that is when we got a tip-off that some arrest could actually be made, and as such at the former Speaker's residence would actually be happening. And I've seen a couple of people that seem to at least portend to the fact that that could be the truth. We have seen right from that particular hour security deployment increasing, and it has been upbeat right from the hour of about 2:30 p.m. and we'd seen a number of those, and actually one PPG around this particular place. I should also be able to inform you that what you are seeing right there, if you're just joining us on NBS right now, those are live pictures that are coming in from the residence of the former Speaker of Parliament, the Honourable Anita Among, and we know for a fact that right now we are having some officers or the Uganda security forces, including officers from the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, officers from the Uganda police as well as the army, plus the police forensics department coming in to at least gather evidence or try to carry out a search at the former Speaker's residence. And all this comes as the leadership or the former leadership at Parliament takes a new turn as it gets to also bid valediction to its tenure. And this episode is just one of the many that have been happening right from yesterday, or that have been happening in the past few days, owing to the fact that we are now going to have a new parliament and members of parliament who are all sworn in. And now we have remembered, we need to at least go back in time to remind ourselves of the things that have been happening right from the time the Parliament or the 11th Parliament was bidding valediction, and we also knew to the fact that some of these things were actually going to happen, and that is according to some deep throat sources. But now let us try to rewind and try to look at some of the things that have been, or at least painting a picture of what we were actually heading to, or things that tend to show us that all these things were actually bound to happen. We remember for a fact that when the 11th Parliament was bidding valediction, there's been a very heavy, tight race, so there's been a very tight race for speakership, as a number of people were throwing their hats in the ring for the position of the Speaker of Parliament, and these include the former Justice and Constitutional Affairs Minister, the Honourable Norbert Mao, the incumbent Speaker, or the Speaker Anita Among, that had as well reassured herself as well as her acolytes that she would return for the same position, as well as the Deputy Thomas Taebwa, as well as the other people that were throwing their hats in the ring, to include Bukono County MP, that is the Princess Namuganza, as well as the other people that were coming to throw their hats in the ring regarding that particular position. And that bred a lot of backlash, and many people have been actually looking and watching the speakership race with a lot of keen sight, and that has all been unveiling right under our watchful eye. And we remember the back and forth that has been happening right to the episodes that happened at Chankwanze National Leadership Institute, where the former Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, said that we cannot let a newcomer get into the bedroom. As we remember the back and forth that happened, and the minor altercations that have been happening, and the many machinations that have been happening actually in the speakership race. And now, when did things turn out to become worse, or when did things turn out to move from bad to worse, and actually to the very point where we are, things started turning the moment issues of corruption or allegations of corruption started flying things started flying, and all those were some of the things that we are actually getting. So what you can be able to see right on the ground is you can be able to see a number of people. You can just be able to see the security forces, including police, including the criminal investigation department, and RPC Nanoka has also been seen around this particular place. So what you can be able to see right now is that security deployment is around the former Speaker of Parliament's place, and what you can be able to see right there, that particular car that is actually having its engine on seems to actually point to something that we could be yet to witness right now. But what I can be able to at least inform the country is that the police and security agencies have rounded up the former speaker's residence and are trying to carry out a search. We do not know if they've been able to enter, but all those are details that we can be able to bring to you just shortly as I get back to you, Tracy, at the Political Command Center.
Well, many things. Hakeem Wampamba stationed outside the residence of the former Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Anita Among. What we currently gather in this very breaking news is of a raid that has been conducted by security agencies outside of her residence. And it's a joint security team, from what we gather, led by the Criminal Investigations Directorate. The search is at the residence of the former Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among. The investigations are allegedly on illicit enrichment and money laundering, and that is what we currently have gathered so far. The operation has been spearheaded by the CID headquarters with support from the Uganda People's Defence Forces, and many other security agencies are part of these investigations. This actually follows reports that President Yoweri Museveni did order a probe into the former speaker's wealth and financial dealings, is what we currently gather. What we also can tell you is investigators are reportedly pursuing lines of inquiry that are centered on suspected illicit enrichment and corruption, as well as money laundering. What we also know is the security operatives did conduct a detailed search, the efforts to gather this evidence, and these are investigations that are currently ongoing. This is a developing story, as we can show you. Those are live pictures of the current raid by security agencies at the former speaker's residence, and this is indeed on the of the conversations that have been circulating of the alleged meetings that have been happening at State House in Tebe that have involved top leadership of the country. And of course, speculation continues on whether they did yield any results. What you see right now is members of the Criminal Investigations Department of the Uganda Police Force and many other agencies making their way to the former speaker's residence, and that is exactly the live pictures of Macklin Road. You see a police car trying to gain access into the residence, and of course troops stationed outside of her residence. What we cannot ascertain is if indeed the former speaker is at her residence as this particular raid is happening. Her whereabouts are yet to be confirmed, but as you can see, those are live pictures. The Right Honourable Speaker of the 11th Parliament it's a probe on corruption, money laundering, and these are investigations that are currently ongoing. In terms of who else is being investigated, that remains to be seen, but the conversations have been happening on all kinds of social media platforms with speculations in terms of just how many others will also be part of these investigations. To the extent of what will be revealed, that is entirely a different ball altogether. What we also do not know is what this particular probe, in terms of a bearing, have on her candidature as a speaker in the 12th Parliament. We know for a fact she did come into the position of Bukedia, woman member of Parliament, unopposed in both the last two elections, and that has been the conversation of her being one of the front runners, and previously It has also been mentioned that you have the likes of the Honorable Norbert Mao, current Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, also throwing, his heart into the ring, into the speakership race. It's been quite the heated back and forth in terms of the conversations around the speakership race. But you have those for and those for against, that kind of candidature. But what we do want to confirm with you is that those are live pictures coming out of the residence of the former Speaker of the 11th Parliament. What we also want to share with you is that it is a collaboration between security agencies, from the Criminal Investigations Department to the UPDF, as well as, of course, many other agencies involved. What we also want to tell you is that there are a couple of conversations that have happened, especially to allegations of corruption. Now, we also do know that the former Speaker, in terms of the international sanctions, again on the conversation of corruption as of 30th April 2024. Now, the UK's Foreign Office did announce personal sanctions against Anita Among and two other Ugandan officials under its global anti-corruption sanctions regime. Now, that was for their involvement in significant corruption and making her subject to an asset freeze and a travel ban. Now, on 30th of May 2024, we do know that Anita Among and several other Ugandan officials were sanctioned by the US State Department on charges of corruption. And so those are some of the conversations that perhaps might be revisited in this latest development. The Ugandan government, clearly the top leadership, deciding to take an interest in those particular allegations, and who knows what the Ugandan investigations will reveal about these allegations. We also know that in the recent speech just after his swearing in, President Yoweri Museveni did call this Chisanja, no sleep, and Chisanja, no corruption. And many others will be thinking this is perhaps the beginning or the aftermath, of course, the follow-up of that particular narrative. And these are live pictures we are getting from outside of the former Speaker Parliament. This is her residence. That is the Right Honourable Anita Among. What we do not know for now is her whereabouts, or whether or not this particular raid did find her at the residence. What we know is that the operation is spearheaded by the CID headquarters with support from the Uganda People's Defence Forces and other security agencies.